Hello guys, this is Fallen from IBR. In today's video I'm going to show you 2-on-2 setups on CT Dust 2. I'm going to tell you good options on how to take long and all other options by playing on Catwalk and some other details. So let's check it out on the video. Let's go to the game then guys. Let's start talking about the CT default, which we're going to call it 2-on-2, which means two players are going A, one player is playing mid initially and two players on B. And you want to use those kind of setups when you don't want to have long that much. And you want to open up your possibilities by boosting some player catwalk, or sometimes you can take long but not with too much emphasis. If your opponents come with a very strong long take, you have only two players, it's going to be a little bit hard for you to hold by itself. So the 2-on-2s are not the best optimal defaults to when you want to have long for sure, because your opponents might be running long fast. But anyway, it's a very strong setup and give you a lot of things that I'm going to talk about here on this video. So one important thing to know about the 2-on-2s is how can I take long with only two players? You're gonna first take a look on which spawn you have. If your teammates is not close to long, like you spawn here for example, or spawn here, you probably won't win the long fight if they come fast. So that already tells you that you shouldn't be forcing that situation. You can even go long and try to get long by yourself, but if you see flashes coming, you can easily say, hey, abort, abort, abort. Unfortunately, we chose 2-on-2. You don't have to explain all that during the round, but you chose 2-on-2, they came fast long. You don't want to take this fight because it's not going to be an advantage for you. And then you can boost someone here and then leave a player doing other things, be aggressive in other part of the map and stuff like that. But besides that, let's say you have a good spawn and you have two players here with the best spawns in the game. They just spawned here, and a good way to get long control then is by throwing two nades inside the tunnel. You're going to come, you're going to try to turn a little bit here so you don't get blind with the initially flash your teammates can throw. And then you're going to throw the nades and try to fight the first guy that's going to come out of the door. And that's how it is. You have to go, throw the nade, you might get a little bit blind in the process and keep going. It's important guys to understand that for every long control you do, almost 90% of the times the first player has to try to go to pit, because pit's the position that's going to give you safety. Once you are in pit, it's hard for the T's, but if you cannot get into pit, the T's are going to like it. So you try to cross to pit every time you can and make sure you're walking during the process. If you have to stop and shoot, of course you can do that, but your focus is getting into pit. Another way to get long control is by throwing an extra smoke in front of this wood here. And that was initially used by Astralis first, and their idea on this concept is, alright, so if getting into pit is what I want and it's what's gonna make me feel safe and gonna be harder for the T's, if I throw extra smoke here, then I have protection. Like even if I get blind and playing around the smoke, this is easier for me and I have an easier access point to pit as well. So they start throwing initially a smoke here to force the situation and help them achieving pit control. Another way to get long control that I like, and one of the most I like, is by coming to the second dot here. So one of the players coming on the second dot, and then he's gonna look for the bottom left side of this window, and then he's gonna run a jump through smoke. That smoke's gonna land indoor, right? So it's gonna secure that the guys peeking with an AWP or AK crouching down there cannot kill your teammate. And then after that, it's gonna be situational. If you saw that the T's threw a lot of flash, it's because they're coming. And then you're gonna use a flash here and another flash on the back of your teammate. Your teammate's gonna be here waiting for you. Maybe he can even throw a flash to delay things a little bit. He knows the smoke's coming. And also he can molly blue on the beginning of the round and then wait for you. So I'm gonna explain a little bit again. One player goes to car and he's smoking door and uses flash to help his teammate. The other teammate who's gonna fight first is coming close and he can have a molly in his hands. If he sees that a lot of flashes are being thrown, he throw a molly on blue and then he waits. Flash will come in, he can even use a flash if he has one, and then as the guy on car smoke door and flash one, he try to kill people. If you come here and you don't see any nades being thrown, maybe only one flash, you don't need that much. You can just hold here, your teammate's gonna throw the smoke for you, and then after you just request for a flash. Your teammate can throw a flash over the wall here, for example. You wait for the smoke to pop, of course, and then you can show up and try to see if someone is there. All right, so it's very situational, but this way you do a better use of your utility. You don't want to be spending everything at the beginning of the round if they didn't apply any pressure on you. So I already gave you 3 ways of playing 2-on-2 and achieving long control. But that's not the only way you can play 2-on-2. Let's say now you have a AWP on the team, you have Device on Astralis, you have Guardian Face, you have myself or Bad Falling on your team. or you just have a good Alper on your team, you want to boost in on catwalk. Boosting on catwalk is strong because if the Alper achieves position here, for example, and you are playing a 2-on-2, which means one player on your team is actually looking into mid. He has an AWP, or he already is using the smoke that they throw on the beginning of the round to block the vision here and don't get shot by the Alpers. Maybe he's jumping here and taking a look on what's going on, and this guy can tell you, hey, they're pushing catwalk, or hey, doesn't seem like they're pushing catwalk. So this kind of telling from the mid guy is gonna make the Alper life easier here on that position, because let's say you start by coming into this position. Why I think coming to this angle first is strong, because if they're rushing catwalk, there are a lot of things, and you're gonna learn that in the other videos, you can try to take catwalk fast. And by coming to that spot, you're gonna be able to punish the first one and fall back with advantage to your team, which is already pretty strong. But let's say you come to this angle and no one is here, and your mid guys say, hey, they're not there. You can go to another pick. And I like to say there's two different picks here. I like to call this one the vice pick. He just stays here waiting for someone to show lower tunnels, and on that position you can crouch for protection, or you can stay untied for the flash they're thrown sometimes on the top of the wall. And I like to say there's another pick here, that's the Oscar pick. He likes to throw himself in the wall here, and on this position he can see when the T guy jumps on the box, and that's a pretty strong pick as well. Another thing that is good for 2-on-2 when you have an AWP on catwalk is the fact that when your opponent is smoke Xbox and you see the smoke coming, you're gonna hear it popping, it gives you opportunity for a third pick. I like to call it the Xbox pick. So once the smoke is there, you are no longer afraid of lower tunnels, and now you can work towards a pick on catwalk, which is gonna give you a chance to kill someone here as well. Sometimes you don't even have to go too dry, like and too open, because you don't wanna show yourself to the AWP. Just staying on that corner is gonna give you a chance to kill an opponent and get back, for example. For the other players into the game, we have the mid player. As I told you, it's very important for him to be collecting this information for you. This guy is here checking if they're pushing catwalk. If you are going long, then he can do something else. Telling that they're going catwalk fast is going to be helpful, but if he's going catwalk, you have to do that for sure. If you have an AWP, making this crossfire with him is pretty strong too. You have catwalk, he has lower tunnels. Once you are in mid, you can easily help the B players by throwing flash in front of the big box if they're pushing B, or you can just go to window and help the hold B rushes, or help the holds B execute early in the round. And the B players, pretty normal round for them. They have to go and make sure they don't get shot by the Alpers when they're crossing mid by throwing double nades on the door, or throwing a smoke like this initially on the round, and then going through that this way the Alper cannot hit you. And on the anti-rush B, it's important to throw a molly initially on tunnels so they cannot rush you. And if get a good position, and if they smoke the molly, you have a good angle to kill them getting outside of the smoke. And after the initial part of the round, you just have to choose a setup on B and play according to that. You can even choose to go with two players going aggressive in the B tunnels. And in that case, you don't want to molly that close. All you want to do is show up with a good spawn and make sure they didn't cross. Or if you let them cross and you come a bit later, you can use a molly on the right side to flush the player and try to just get a kill by hoping he's hiding on this right corner. It's a very common corner. For example, Taco from Liquid on the last finals against Malls, he killed two players here by just hiding with an AK. He got Rops and Chris J pushing, so there is opportunities for kills like that. So that was it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember, the key point for this video is paying attention to how many nades they're throwing along, if they're taking fast or not, and making sure you're choosing your fights correctly. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's check more later.